Hey everybody, it's Unit 1, Week 4, Grammar and Writing. Yesterday we already kind of talked about some of the stuff that's on this video today, but please make sure you review it. Please also know that you will need to take some notes on this. So if you have not got your 5-subject notebook, pause the video and please go get it. You'll need to be in the grammar section of your 5-subject notebook. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to go get that right now. Okay, so yesterday we talked about coordinating conjunctions, and these are conjunctions that join two words or word groups that are the same importance. So what that means is that they have to be exactly the same kind of importance in the sentences. So for example, two nouns or two independent clauses. And remember that an independent clause is just basically a sentence, so don't get confused by that. So the conjunctions that we're most familiar with are and, but, and or, and they turn two simple sentences into a compound sentence. So an example here is we have the cat chased a mouse, the dog chased a rabbit. So we have two independent clauses, two separate sentences. They both have a subject, they both have a verb. But we can combine them by using the word and. So we would have the cat chased a mouse and the dog chased a rabbit. And again, these are just here to help you become a better writer, a more fluent writer. So know that it's not a requirement to always use them because sometimes it's not appropriate to continually add words in there just to do it for the sake of using them. Yesterday, though, we spent some time talking about coordinating conjunctions. And these, remember, are just tell when, where, why, or how. And writers, again, use these to improve the flow of their writings. So some examples that we had are after, although, as, because, before, if, since, so, that, until, when, and while. And Levi, I believe, even added in meanwhile. So an example sentence set for this would be Maya brushes her hair, her mother packs her lunch. So we could kind of envision this happening in the morning. So if we combined that, we could say Maya brushes her hair while her mother packs her lunch. Now that's just using subordinating conjunctions. You could use the coordinating conjunctions and use the word and, but in this case we would use while just to tell when this is going on. So new information today is Greek roots. And we know that when you read an unfamiliar word, you can look at its roots to help figure out what the word's meaning might be. And if we think about Greek roots, they are everywhere in our reading. So remember that our root is the basic part of a word that gives that word its meanings. Many words that we use in the English language have roots that are Greek, there's Roman, there's Latin, there's Old English even that we use, but Greek is pretty common. So here are 3 that have Greek roots. So the word astronaut, which means someone who flies a spacecraft. The root of this word is astro, which means star. And I bet if you think about it, you'll know some other words that have astro in them as well. Next one is biology, which means the study of living things. The root of this means life. So if you think about, we have, there's all kinds of different biology, and all of them have to do with the word life. Or even if we talk about just having bio as the root, it means that whatever you're talking about has to do with the study of life or life in general. That's even like the word biography has to do with the fact that it's a writing about someone's life. Our next word is megaphone, which means a device that makes a voice louder. And the root here is phone, which means sound, which makes pretty good sense, doesn't it? Because you know that when you use a cell phone, phone is the thing that makes a voice louder or makes the sound. Now here's one more, graphology, and that means the study of handwriting, which is what Mrs. Beck does frequently when you turn in work. The root for that graph means to write, which makes sense. And so if we combined autobiography, that means to write about one's life. All right, so today you're going to be working on a little worksheet here, and it's also using the Greek roots. So what you'll do is, it says to read, we have up here in our chart the Greek root, and ironically, the first one that we're going to talk about is electron, and its meaning is actually amber, but we use it in words like electric or electricity, and mostly that's because the Greeks used copper to help conduct electricity, and so that's how that became amber. The next one is pathos or pathos, and it means feelings. So if we use some examples, we have the word sympathy or empathy. And of course, sympathy means that we feel sorry for someone, and empathy means that we understand how someone feels. The next one, that's our next root, is techne, and that means art or skill. So if we use it in technology, it has to do with the skill of using technology. And then we have technical, and of course, anybody that studies something technical, they learn a skill such as learning how to do plumbing or electricity. And our final one in this Greek root set is graph or gram, and those two are kind of combined. You can use them either way. So that means to write. So if we have a photograph, that means that we're taking a picture that records information. And a telegram is something we don't use very much anymore, but in the olden days, it was a way to send information through a big giant wire, and people would get their messages that way. It was kind of before the phone. And you've probably read about it before, but there we go. So now what we're going to do is you're going to read each passage. And remember, they use the word passage to talk about the sentences, the groups of sentences. You're going to use the Greek roots that are up here above and sentence clues to help you figure out the meaning of the word in bold. All you have to do is use the meaning that's up here in the graph. You don't have to try and come up with your own new one. And then you just write that on the line. And then you write your own sentence that uses the word in the same way. So what that means is, if we look at number 1, in the early 1900s, few people owned cars. Instead, they rode electric streetcars or trolleys. So what you'll do is you'll write the word meaning, put your colon, and then you go back up here to the chart and you see that, okay, electric had the meaning of amber. So you just write the word amber in there. And then you'll write your own sentence. So I wrote, an electric car needs to be plugged in to charge it. Make sure you use capital letters and punctuation because it does count. Also, make sure you check your spelling. All right, our final thing today in this video is to talk about organization, and that is a skill for our writing that we're going to be using today and this week. And so if you want to, you can join me in your Readers Writers Workshop, or you can just kind of look at the screen here. So when we're talking about organization and in the structure of using sequence, that means that we're going to be putting things in the order of what they happened. And you'll see some signal words and phrases to help order your information. So in this one, it says, even as a child, Arthur was passionate about science. Born in England in 1917 in a small town by the sea, Arthur spent his school years enthusiastically reading his favorite science fiction magazine. He was fascinated by astronomy and built a telescope when he was just 13. He also started writing his own science fiction stories. He even published them in a school magazine. Arthur loved imagining the future. So in this case, we can look and see that there are signal words like, actually 1917 is a signal to tell you about when it happened. And then we have words like then and during and after to help our reader understand the order of this story. So that's what we're doing when we talk about organization and using sequence. We're just basically putting things in the order they happen and using some signal words. So you can pause the video right now, and that will be it for today. If you do need to go back to reference how to do that worksheet, please feel free to do so. Thanks, kids. Let's get some good learning.